Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I'm your host, Jody Harrison Bauer, and this is the show that educates, empowers, entertains, and inspires you to live your most fearlessly authentic life. I believe it's never too late to embrace who you truly are, break through limitations, and live bold and strong. This show is your place for real conversations about health, fitness, mindset, and the courage it takes to live unapologetically. Each week, we bring you inspiring guests and actionable advice to help you take charge of your life. So let's get on with the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I'm your host, Jody Harrison Bauer, and it is so good to have you here with me today. For everyone who's new to listening to the show, this is a show where we educate, empower, and inspire you to live your most fearlessly authentic life. Because, in my honest opinion, if we're not doing that or trying to do that every single day, then what the heck are we doing? Life is to be lived, not to be sitting around and not grabbing life every single day for everything that it could give you. So, welcome to the show. Happy holidays to everyone. Today's show is really going to be a reflection on this past year. I am sure that you're listening to a lot of other shows that recap the year, but this has been a very transformative year. And I've taken you through and with me through most of the journey, sharing a lot of what I've gone through. It's been messy, it's been scary, it's been beautiful in the sense that I've gotten to know who I was even more. So if you are in your 60s, it's not too late to learn who you are and to change things in your life if that's what you want to do. If you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, it's not too late. And I want you to understand that I'm not here to suggest that you leave anything, a relationship, a job, anything. But I'm here to remind you, just to remind you that you have the power to find your own happiness and joy. We can't expect other people to make us happy. We can choose to be around people that make us happy, that cheer us on, that support us, that are there for the good times and the bad times. Lots of people come out of the woodwork when things are shitty in our lives. Oh, what's wrong? What's going on? But where are they when we have the celebrations, where we have these incredibly big moments in our life? Are they there to say, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Wow, this is such a huge accomplishment. How did you do this? You're a rock star. Whatever it is, those are the friends that are our true friends. They're not the friends that just come out. What do they call them? Fair weathered friends. Yeah, when the fair weather comes around, lots of friends like to show up. And, I am old enough and wise enough to know that those aren't my true friends. So I always have an outline for the show every single week. I hardly stick to it. It's my outline. I'll look at it. You'll see me looking away. But I am going to be looking at my notes because I don't want to miss anything that I wrote to share with you. This year has been one of the most transformative years of my life. It's been filled with challenges, growth, heartbreak, and so many lessons I didn't even know I needed. As I reflect, I realize just how much courage, resilience, and self-love it's taken to get here. And I know many of you can relate to that journey. I want to share what I've learned with you this year, not just to reflect, but to hopefully inspire you to think about your own growth. The lessons I've learned that have helped me step into a more authentic version of myself. And my hope is that they'll help you do the same as we move into a new year. Together, let's embrace courage, trust our gut, and redefine what it means to truly live fearlessly authentic lives. One of the things that I learned the most, there are going to be a bunch of things that I've learned the most, and I hope this helps you. Courage unlocks freedom. We know, we've heard, be brave, be fearless, be a fearless woman, be fearlessly authentic. That has been my mantra for so long, not just since I started this podcast. it's always been something that I've strived for. So when I was married to my ex-husband, I didn't feel like I was living my most authentic life because I was living within the constraints of that relationship. And even though I knew him for a few years before we married, you don't really know a person until you start living with them and having children with them and family and so on and so forth. And we weren't rushing into marriage, but that's just how things went at that time in our lives in the 80s. You've heard me tell the story. I was 24, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't feel like I was doing what I was meant to be doing at the time. Yes, I was meant to be a mom, but I was also meant to have other purposes in life. I didn't want one thing or two things defining me. I didn't want to be just a mom. I didn't want to be just a wife. That wasn't who Jody Harrison was. She was much more. We are all much more. Of course, our children always take priority. That is my biggest gift in the world that I've ever had. But I truly believe, I truly know that our children, boys or girls, need to see us doing more. I think that as children get older and they look back at their parents, they start seeing them as human beings and not just mommy and daddy, mom and dad. I hear so many women my age and a little bit younger talk about their parents and what their parents accomplished or what their mom or dad gave up to have children. But what's really cool about having children is that they grow up to be adult and they get to be your best friends, hopefully. My daughters are. And as they get older, I know that they've gotten to see me for me as Jody, which helps our relationship even more. But when we're going through that growth, when I left the marriage, that was really, really, really hard. But I knew that I needed to be free. And I knew that the only way that I was going to feel free to be my most authentic self, even though I wasn't using the word authentic, the only way I could do that was to grow. And in my marriage, I wasn't allowed to grow. I had to stay the same. And I didn't want my daughters seeing me the same. I didn't want them to be in their 30s and 40s and go, well, mom, what did you do? Like, you were a great mom, but like, did you have any hobbies? Did you do anything? They always knew I worked out, but I wanted them to see me in my power. And seeing me, it wasn't about me, it was about being the best influence on my daughters as a woman. I wanted them to see what is possible. What's possible even if you stayed home for 17 years to raise them? What's possible? Don't let any obstacles get in your way. So I realized that my courage was going to unlock my freedom. I knew this. I knew this. I knew that this year I learned that courage again was the first step in freedom, but it had been a long, long time. I had gone almost 2 decades since my divorce. Almost 2 decades, I was either in a relationship or dating. And then I decided to get married again in 2019. Walking away from my marriage when I did, when I got in the car with my dog, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see it. Just something clicked one day. And you know, ladies, things just don't click. It's a mounting of things that are happening that hopefully you've been talking to your significant other about, asking, pleading, this is what I need. This is what I need to feel a certain way. This is what I need to feel loved. This is what I need to feel supported. This is what I need. And I talked about it last week. We can't clap with one hand. There's no noise. No noise with clapping with one hand. You can't change with one hand. You need both hands to clap. You need two people to dance together, to do the dance of life together. And that wasn't happening. So I left because I needed peace and I needed clarity. I didn't leave thinking I'm going to leave my marriage. That was never the intention. The intention was I need space to figure out what it is that I want for the rest of my life. I needed peace to think about it. Taking that big step, getting in my car and driving all this way wasn't easy. It was actually fucking terrifying to do. Never in a million years, never, you've heard me say this on the show, never in a million years did I think I was ever going to be able to do that. But staying in a situation where I wasn't good for my mental well-being anymore. I felt like I was losing myself. You're listening to me right now, either in your home, taking a walk. Have you ever felt like you were losing yourself in a relationship? I have. And that's when I've left. Did I ever want to get divorced again? Absolutely not. Do I know if that's going to happen or not? No, I don't. But I sought clarity and peace. I needed to figure out what I needed again because I was making his needs my only priority. It didn't have the studio anymore. I was figuring things out. So he had become my priority and I was there for him all the time. And I couldn't do it anymore because I was dying inside. I was losing myself. Choosing myself was the hardest thing I've ever done. It was terrifying, but it was also very freeing. Terrifying and freeing, an interesting combination, but it was a decision I had to make. It wasn't about blaming anyone else or trying to prove something. It was about finally listening to my inner voice that had been screaming inside of me for so many years, screaming, but I wasn't listening. But I acknowledged it. I acknowledged that I deserve love, respect, and a sense of purpose. It reminded me that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is choose ourselves. Can you hear me on this, ladies? And forever, for the men listening, choosing ourselves is the bravest thing that we can do, even when it feels scary. Freedom doesn't come without fear, but it's always worth it. Fearlessly authentic. Stand in your power, stand in your truth. Growth is scary. Making changes in your life is scary, but you have to choose yourself. You have to choose yourself always. And it's not about being selfish. That's something totally different. Choosing yourself to be mentally well, feeling safe and free and present in your thoughts with clarity is freeing to me. And I know it's freeing to you. I want you to think about, and like I told you, I took a lot of notes that I want to share with you. I want you to think about a situation in your life where you're holding back because of fear. Believe me, I'm a self-proclaimed scaredy cat. It's the way I lived my life until I got divorced in my 40s. What would happen if you chose courage instead? Think about this. This is what I thought about all the time. What's the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen? What doors could open for you? What opportunities are there? What's the worst thing that could happen? And what's the best thing that could happen to you? I always thought of the worst situation because that worked me up to find the best in everything. So my biggest fear was always that I was going to be homeless. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you guys before. I feared being homeless. I've never been homeless, but I don't know why, but I feared that. I don't know why. It was just one of those things. And I don't even know anybody who's homeless. And I'm thinking about it right now as I'm saying it out loud to all of you and sharing that with you. But that was my biggest fear. And I'm like, that's not going to happen to me because I know how to make money. I have money. I know how to do this. I had to start believing in myself again. As I said earlier, I lost myself. I lost myself in the relationship. So I had to find Jody again. I had to go deep and find Jody. And that's scary because you don't know what's going to come up. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you're taking action despite the fear. Do you hear me? It's scary to be brave, but I know you can do it. One of the things I talked about last week, and one of the things I've learned over and over and over and over again, is trusting my gut. I remember saying to myself years and years ago, over 20 years ago, Jody, you got to trust your gut. Like, after I got divorced, I was dating, and I remember dating guys that what am I doing with them? Like, this is dumb. Yeah, I dated them. And I look back at that time in my life in my mid 40s when I was dating, thinking I needed to learn about myself in a sexual way. I didn't really know myself sexually. And I think that for the 5 years, I really just dated. It's what I should have been doing in my 20s. No regrets because I did it in my 40s. So I was much more mature and I knew myself better. But what I didn't know better was who I was sexually. So when I was in like a 3-month relationship, because that's as long as my relationships lasted until I finally met somebody like 5 years later, was that I stayed in those relationships because they were fun, because I was, again, learning different things about myself in a sexual way, a place where I had never gone to have fun, a place that I thought was taboo, a place where I thought good girls shouldn't go. And I was always a good girl, so I shouldn't go there. But I did. And I had fun. And I learned about myself. And I learned a lot about what I liked, what I didn't like. And that was really fascinating and interesting to me, and how sexual relationships work with the emotional relationships. As we all know, women get emotionally attached when we have sex, but it was much more than that. It was redefining myself as a sexual being, because prior to my marriage, I had only had a sexual relationship with one other person one time when I lost my virginity. So, yes, oh my God. Yeah, I was 22. So that was a wonderful discovery of myself. But I remember trusting my gut and saying, it's okay. It's okay. Like, even if, like, I wasn't looking to get married again. Oh my God. It was like the last thing I was thinking about. I wanted to have fun. I dated when my girls were with their dad, and never brought anybody home because nobody was ever worth coming home. It was me figuring things out, but trusting my gut that it was okay, because your gut is your best compass. I've said before, it's your GPS. My gut has always been my greatest compass. It's it's when I've chosen my head or my heart over my gut that has caused issues in my life. Whenever I doubted myself, I learned to pause, quiet the noise, and listen to that inner voice. It took me a long, long time to have the balls to listen to my inner voice. That was scary. It's like journaling. Once you take those thoughts from your head and you put them down on paper and you have to actually look at them and you go, fuck, really? That's what I'm really thinking. It's scary because it's scary to be alone with your own thought, and trusting your gut is scary, which is why I didn't do it a lot. I did it when I was dating, but then I would get into a relationship. I was in a relationship for like 5 or 7 years, and it had toxicity in it. And I've talked about it before. Um, but the pros outweighed the cons. So I did allow my gut to keep me in the relationship, but I also loved the person a lot too. So my heart and my gut were against each other. But following your gut will always take you to the right place, even though it's scary as fuck. Sorry, I'm swearing so much. It's just all coming out. So what I had to do was when I made the decision to get in the car and leave, I was trusting my gut. And I knew, when you know yourself so well that just one day you're going to wake up and it's going to hit you because you already know. If you've ever been coached by anybody, they'll always tell you, you always knew. It's like Dorothy and the ruby slippers. It was like in the Barbie movie. She always knew. She always knew. The answers were always there. It goes all the way back to the 1930s, The Wizard of Oz. She always knew. She always had the power. The slippers were just the symbol of her courage. So when the decision about where I was going to go, how I was going to start over, the old Jody always asked everybody their opinions. And my dad had a saying that opinions are like, I'm really like swearing a lot today. I'm sorry. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has them. Sorry. That was kind of vulgar. But when I got in the car with my dog, I didn't ask anybody what they thought. I was scared as shit, but I listened to my gut. Everyone I know would have an opinion, but I didn't ask them. I knew what was right. And when we know what's right for us, everything starts to align. It's really, really easy to get caught up in logic, fear, or other people's advice. But your gut is the one voice that truly knows what's best for you. It's there for a reason. It's there for a reason. I want you to think about reflect on a time that your gut led you into the right direction. When you listened to your gut, when you didn't allow fear or other obstacles to get in the way, and it led you in the right direction. It might have been messy, it usually is, but eventually you got to the right place. What did it feel like? How can you lean into that instinct more often? Your intuition is one of the greatest tools for navigating life. What did it feel like? I know you might be scared to go through that journey again, but every journey you take is going to be different because every time you've taken that journey and have believed in yourself, it might still be messy. It might still be really emotional, but you've learned from it. Think of every situation you've put yourself in, whether it's going to a party by yourself, going to a movie by yourself, going to a restaurant by yourself, getting on a dating app, whatever it is, it's freaking scary, but you did it anyway. You weren't thinking in your head, oh, if I go to this movie by myself, I'm going to grow from it. No, but you just listened to your gut. You just went there anyway. I'll share this. We have to go on a break in about 1.5 minutes. I'll share this funny story that I probably shared years ago. A million years ago, when I was dating in my 40s, I went on a date with a guy and I saw him at the table because I knew he looked like. I saw him at the table and I just was like, I was done dating men I wasn't attracted to. I was done dating men who weren't fit. Like back in the early 2000s, it's not like it was now. Not everybody was talking about working out and so on. I was like an anomaly that I worked out so much, especially being a woman. I know that sounds crazy and archaic, but seriously, it was like that. And I just said, I'm done. I'm done dating men that I'm not attracted to. I'm sorry. Yes, I judged him by his physical appearance. And I'm done dating men that aren't fit. Like, I'm fit. At least present me with the same thing that you are. My gut told me, screw it, Jody. Just leave. And that's what I did. I just left. I know it wasn't nice. I could laugh about it now. But you know what? You got to trust your gut. All right. We're going to be taking a break right now. And I will be back with more that you can take away, hopefully, to celebrate what you have accomplished this year and what we are going to do in 2025. I'll be right back.
You are listening to Fearlessly Authentic with Jody Harrison Bauer. We'd love to hear from you with any questions or comments you may have. Send an email to info@jodyharrisonbauer.com. That's info@jodyharrisonbauer.com. Now, back to Fearlessly Authentic.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back after the break. Number three on what I have learned this year is that change is a teacher, not the enemy. And I know I talked before the break about making changes and not allowing fear to stop you by trusting your gut. Change is hard. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So somebody in a relationship, whether it's work or personal, needs to change in order to make something work. As I said at the beginning of the show, it takes two hands to clap. And I talked about this last week as well. Change has been one of my biggest teachers this year. It's uncomfortable, messy, and sometimes really, really painful, but it always brings clarity and growth. One of the biggest changes that I embraced was stepping into a new chapter of my life in my own terms, on my own terms. One of the most transformative things that happened to me this year, and I don't think I was ready for the change, which is why I fought this person in suggesting very strongly that I attend this retreat in the British Virgin Islands at an island called Ariel. It was the Presence Summit. And I just thought, I'm not going to learn anything. I'm too old. I'm not going to change. I wanted to change. I wanted to learn more, but I'm like, am I really going to learn anything? Is this just going to be another yay, rah, rah, like you're wonderful, you're awesome. Tell yourself you love yourself. And I just was like, ugh, I'm not going to do this. And she really encouraged me to do this. And I thought, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Well, I went. And it was from that point, that time, that everything shifted in my life. Why? Because I got present with what was going on in my life, in my head, for me as a woman, for me as a businesswoman, for me as a wife, a mother, a friend. Everything changed. Everything. I would tell every single woman listening to this show right now to go on the President Summit at Ariel in the BVI. Telling you right now, DM me, I'll give you more information about it. But it was transformative. At first, it feels really, really disruptive. Like even me fighting my coach who said, you should go on this. I'm like, no, 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 like, no, I don't want to go. But it also gave me the clarity, the permission to be present with what I needed to uncover and what I needed in my life, what I desired in my life, and what I deserved in my life. Are you hearing me, ladies? What do you desire and what do you deserve? You deserve everything that you want, but you're never going to get there if we allow fear to stop us from being brave enough to face fear straight in the eyes and saying, I know this is going to feel really, really messy. And it's going to make me a little crazy and it's going to make me feel a lot uncomfortable. But I'm willing to do this to get to the other side. What does the other side look like? Hell, if I know, I don't know, but I trusted my gut. How did I do all those things? I don't even know. Have you done those things? You probably don't know either, but it happened because you wanted it to happen. When I stopped fighting change and started seeing it as an opportunity, everything shifted. So I started looking at going to this island as an opportunity to learn more about myself. And I met the most amazing, amazing women. Like, I've never met women like this. And it turned into such an opportunity to learn and grow from them. They're now, I call some of them my friends. They were all my friends when I left, but I've kept in touch with a bunch of them. And every time I talk to them, my heart just swells because of what we shared there. The laughs when we were supposed to be in silence, the tears, the support. I've never felt so supported in my life. But if I hadn't been encouraged, if I didn't trust my gut, if I didn't allow change to present itself as my teacher and not the enemy, I wouldn't be here speaking to you right now. It would just be the same old Jody. And I liked Jody. I liked who I was. And that was the other thing. Like when I got to the island, I was like, really need to work on. I don't think I'm perfect. Trust me. Like I'm far from perfect. There are things I needed to work on. And that was one of the things. But I'm like, I wonder what's going to come up. Like, I wonder, like, what am I really going to learn? What am I going to learn about myself? What do I need to learn about myself? Do I need for life to get messy again? It's like, no, I don't want life to get messy anymore. I'm done with messy. I'm done changing. Haven't I learned enough life lessons, universe? Come on, give me a break. The universe was like, sorry, Jode, got to teach you more shit. So again, I realized that change isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. And I did. I opened my heart. It took me a couple of days. As a lot of the women would tell you, they didn't get to really know me that well. I wasn't hiding anything. It's just, I just, I just didn't know what I was quote unquote supposed to share until I got very present. And all of the rooms on this island have different names. And I was put into the love room. And I thought, cute, love myself, love my husband, love my relationship. I really thought it was going to be about that. But what I walked away from learning about myself is that I wasn't loving myself anymore. I wasn't giving myself any love. I was giving a lot of love, giving, and it was being taken. I was friggin' empty. The tank, like my hormones, were friggin' empty. And it was after we broke the silence that I realized that, oh, not that anybody knew anything about me before I got there. I'm in the love room because I need to love myself again. And you might say, oh, Jody, we've heard it all, loving yourself. Yeah. We got it. We got it, Jody. But truly, that's what I realized, that I wasn't loving myself, didn't hate myself. That's not what I'm saying. But I forgot. I forgot to nourish myself. Yes, I was working out and I had a life, somewhat of a life, but I wasn't nourishing myself anymore. I wasn't showing myself enough love. I was hiding behind giving the love, like a lot of people do my age. So they're like, well, I'm busy with my mom, so I can't work out. My mom is, not in good health. My dad's not in good health. That's why I can't work out. That's why I can't focus on myself. Well, I was doing it with my husband. I'm not blaming him. He now listens to my podcast. I'm just saying that that is innately who I am. And it allowed me to realize that. So I want you to think about a change that you faced this year. How did it challenge you? What did it teach you? Growth often comes from the moments we resist the most. Think about that. So lean into those moments and trust that they're shaping you into who you're meant to be. You're not there yet. You may not be there yet. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not there yet, but don't give up on yourself. Don't hide behind somebody else. The fourth thing that I learned, self-worth is my foundation. This year, I learned that self-worth is the foundation for everything. It's not about seeking validation, like, look at me, see what I'm doing. Or from others, validation from others, or proving myself. I did that in my 40s and 50s. It's about knowing your value and staying firm in it. Knowing your value, ladies. Recognizing your worth. Recognizing my worth. Help me set boundaries and prioritize my happiness. Setting boundaries used to be a big problem for me until I learned how to do it. But sometimes we forget in business, we can set up those boundaries, but sometimes we forget that we even need to set up boundaries in our personal life, especially if the people in our personal life don't respect or understand boundaries. It's very hard to explain to a person who doesn't respect boundaries that you have boundaries. You get my drift? For me, this meant saying no to things that didn't serve me and yes to things that aligned with my goals and values, whether it was friendship, whether it was in business, whether it was in my relationships. And even, listen, even with my daughters, if we're having a discussion and it gets a little heated and I don't like the way it's going, me and my two daughters, we have an open enough relationship where we respect each other's boundaries. Hey, listen, I can't really talk about this right now. Or let me think about that and get back to you. Or this conversation isn't really going where I want it to go. Let me get back to you. Or even my daughters will text me and say, I'll call them and they'll say, hey, I don't really feel like talking right now. Cool. I'd much rather see them respect themselves, know their worth. Hey, I can't talk right now. This isn't a good time for me. I love you, mom, but not right now. I'm not going to cry, but I am. I love my daughters to death. They are just my everything. They are just everything to me. And I hope that, and I sound like an old Jewish lady, I hope that when I die, they will have learned a lot from me. And I hope when I'm not around anymore, that this podcast will go on forever, helping to educate and empower women to know their worth, because for so long I didn't. And I never thought it would happen to me again in my 60s. I thought I learned all my lessons in my 40s and 50s, but I didn't. And we're always still learning. So if you are an older woman like me and you're still struggling somewhere in a relationship, know your worth. Don't let others take advantage of your heart. Know your worth. You can say no if it doesn't serve you. And when I say it doesn't serve you, that it doesn't align with you. It doesn't align with you. In a past relationship, the one that I was in for 5 or 7 years, I don't remember how many years it was, with, and it was toxic many, many times. When I finally did leave, I left because I I felt that I lost my worth in that relationship. There was no self-worth, and it was then that I had to leave. Yeah, self-worth is the foundation. Please remember that. So I want you to ask yourself, where have you been compromising your worth? What boundaries do you need to set to protect your peace? Your peace, ladies. Remember, self-worth isn't up for debate. It's yours to own. The other thing I learned, number 5, bunch of lessons this year. Aging is an inside job. You know that if you follow me on social media, you know that aging is something that I talk about. Talked about it a little bit last week. And I know that you know this already, but I'm going to just say it one more time. Aging isn't about trying to hold on to your youth or living up to society's expectations. It's about growing into your most authentic, powerful, do you hear me? Powerful self. This year, I stopped worrying about what age looks like to others and started focusing on how it feels for me. I always worried about what others would say. And you've heard me talk about it. Your dresses are too short. You're too sexy. Why are you wearing such high heels? Why is your hair so long? Why do you dress sexy? Whatever it is, whatever it was. I was told by an old coach, don't say sexy. That was like 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I always worried about what other people would say. Oh, you're wearing that? No, you can't wear that. Mom, well, see, it's my daughters. It came right out of me. True, true, truth. The truth speaks. Mom, your hair's too long. Cut it. Mom, your dress is too short. Okay, well, they're honest with me. And I didn't let that stop me because I had to be me. Because we're all going to age. It's inevitable, but we need to age the way we want. So for me, staying connected to my body through fitness, mindfulness, and self-love, it was about energy. It was about joy and strength. It was about being feminine, joyful, strong, and energetic. It was about being vibrant. It was about aging on my own terms. Didn't have anything to do with wrinkles or numbers. Aging is a time to thrive. And I did not think I would be saying that at 64. I'll be 64 soon in like less than 10 days. And I've never felt more alive because I'm aligned with what feels right to me. So I want you to think about, what does redefining aging feel like and look like for yourself? What would it look like to you to age on your own terms? You know that I talk about bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. You know I talk about menopause. I didn't have anybody there for me to talk about menopause. I was going through it all by myself. All of my friends were younger. Didn't talk to my mom about it. She went through it very early. And I didn't start BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, until I was 60. And it's one of the things that I've talked more and more and more about this past year, that I've learned that menopause might not be a word that people who follow me want to hear about. They didn't want to hear it. And when I started talking about it, I lost a lot of followers, but I also gained the women that I wanted to talk to. And I put it out there, not afraid of what would happen. You attract who you want in your life and you repel those who don't align with you. And lo and behold, you ladies wanted to learn more about hormone replacement therapy. And I will continue talking about it. It will change the way you age. It will slow down the aging process. But we need to have the foundation of good health, a healthy mind, and a healthy body in order for us to thrive, for us to accept ourselves for who we are, our self-worth, aging the way we want, trusting our gut, and allowing ourselves to be brave enough to face fear straight in the eyes, knowing what we really want, knowing what really makes us happy, what brings us joy. I was talking to somebody this morning about, again, the retreat. And when I did the equine therapy, it's incredibly powerful. They said to me afterwards, "Why aren't you celebrating the joy of what you just accomplished?" And I'm like, because the horse didn't come all the way around. It only went 3/4 of the way around. And she said to me, "You should be celebrating this joy. When was the last time you experienced joy?" That was a huge shift. I just started crying. Here's what I've learned this year. Courage unlocks freedom. Trusting your gut will guide you. Change is a teacher, not an enemy. Self-worth is your foundation, and aging is an inside job. As you reflect on your year, I want you to ask yourself, what have I learned? How have I grown? What am I ready to let go of? And what am I excited to carry forward? Every challenge, every lesson has shaped you into the person you're becoming. I'm so grateful to have you on this journey with me. Your support and connection mean the world to me. And I can't wait to continue growing and learning together in the new year. This year has taught me so much about being courageous, about change and self-love, and the beauty of starting over. It's been scary, but it's been enlightening. And I want that for you. I want you to believe in yourself enough to make the changes in your life that you need to feel aligned with everything going on in your heart, your head, and your gut. Don't be afraid. Allowing fear to stop us from living our most fearlessly authentic lives would be a waste for you. Don't waste any more time. Again, I'm not here to tell you to leave. I'm here for you to tell you and remind you to believe in yourself, that you are beautiful inside and out, that you deserve the best in everything. I want you to know that. I can't wait until 2025 comes. It's going to be an exciting year. It's probably going to be a little messy too, but that's okay. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Follow me on all social platforms at Jody Harrison Bauer. And until next time, go live your most fearlessly authentic lives. Happy New Year. Happy holidays, everybody. Bye-bye. And thank you for listening.